The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a contentious issue. As the delicate interconnecting concerns, the intensity of the intensity is felt in echoes, conversations, and intense disputes. Every time it is brought up in conversation, it permeates the stories. Widespread condemnations have increased following the latest events in Gaza, dividing the world into opposing camps. The events of October 7, 2022 have caused an even more disastrous turn to the conflict, which has resulted in thousands of deaths and hundreds of thousands of displaced people. A few other people's voices have reverberated both inside and outside of combat zones, despite the fact that many well-known figures from over the world have spoken out on the conflict. It was recently the turn of former U.S. President Barack Obama to voice his thoughts on the contentious issue, and his remarks have since gone viral, where we objectively discuss current events from around the world. We shine our spotlight on the former U.S. President Barack Obama's statement regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict in today's video. We'll go over some of the salient points of his remarks and discuss why his support for Israel has gained traction in the media and globally. Please hit the notification bell on your screen, like our video, subscribe to our channel. Reactions to the devastating Hamas organized attack, which resulted in the murder of over 1,000 Israelis and the kidnapping of over 200 others, have been pouring in, and several narratives are gradually forming along multiple lines. Obama's speech, which calls for an end to Palestinian suffering and a resolution to the conflict, is the most recent in a string of responses that are now influencing the narratives. Obama expressed his sympathy for the Palestinian people during his speech and urged Israel to take into account their predicament after being on the receiving end for so long. He appealed for a peaceful conclusion to the issue and understood that any true settlement would require a compromise between the opposing groups. He clarified the gravity of the fighting and its effects on the innocent people trapped in the crossfire. Barack Obama, a former U.S. president, is familiar with the Israel-Palestine dispute. The war was still going strong and had been going on for several decades when he served as President of the United States. Given his current status as a statesman and one of the most esteemed former leaders globally, his submissions during a speech regarding the conflict have garnered media attention. While many well-known people have expressed their criticism of the activities of either warring side, others have drawn attention to the hardships faced by those who are on the receiving end. Obama came under fire for his comments after U.S. President Joe Biden recently supported his Israeli counterparts and demanded composure and respect for human life. Obama, a friend of Israel and a former U.S. president, knew that his remarks would be well received no matter how they were made or presented. Obama didn't try to praise, denigrate, or show preference for Israelis in his remarks. Rather, he acknowledged the complexity of the issue and filed a lawsuit for peace and a settlement to alleviate the suffering of those affected by it. These are a few of his speech's main talking topics. Obama addressed the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territory in his speech, stressing the detrimental effects it has on the Palestinian people. He bemoaned the unfairness of the situation for the several generations of Palestinians growing up and residing there, as well as the existence of a foreign force on Palestinian territory. Obama pleaded with Israel's leadership to re-evaluate the country's annexation of Palestinian territory and settlers' displacement. He demanded a halt to settlement aggression against Palestinian people, saying that it was endangering the public welfare in Palestine. Neither occupation nor expulsion, in his opinion, is the solution. His fervent appeal to Israeli authorities serves as a poignant reminder of the great toll that Palestinians have paid in this battle, and that the only way to put an end to the Palestinian people's suffering is to terminate the occupation. Obama's address reflected the long-standing support for the two-state solution held by the majority of the world's superpowers, as well as other international organizations involved in the mediation efforts. He reminded all involved in the battle that this conclusion was definitive and that this was the aim of all negotiations. The two-state solution has actually continued to be the most practical choice for both nations to make. It concerns the two independent states of Israel and Palestine, which coexist in precisely defined regions with demarcated borders. Obama hopes that all of the objections and problems preventing this resolution from being passed would be promptly addressed so that both parties may move on from one another permanently. Obama reminded Israel throughout his speech of its democratic values and how its future, democratic narrative will be shaped by how it treats the Palestinians. He discussed Israel's moral principles and how their actions will affect the future of the nation, as well as their relationship with the Palestinian people. Obama urged Israel to take a stand on the democratic values of fairness and self-governance that they hold dear, and to which the Palestinian people have a right. Obama stated that only Israel could decide what kind of democracy they would have in his speech to the Israeli government. The future of Israel and its relationship with the Palestinians will be determined by Israel's choice, he continued. Israel has progressively restricted Palestinian residents' freedom of movement since annexing substantial portions of Palestine's territory, extending from the West Bank to the Gaza Strip. Obama mentioned the controversial topic of Israel's harsh occupation of Palestine, which has been compared to an apartheid state. Obama's address emphasized the cruelty inflicted upon the Palestinian people as a result of the occupation and the consequences it had on their well-being. The Palestinian occupation by Israel has at times been cruel and merciless, severely damaging the local economy. Palestine's imports and exports have been severely restricted by the multiple blockades put in place by Israeli authorities, which is thought to be contributing to the rapidly developing humanitarian situation. Farmers are unable to reach markets for their goods while this blockade is in place, and the economy is further burdened by the suspension of imports from a number of Palestinian regions. Obama demanded the lifting of all conditions and made an appeal to the Israeli authorities to remove the limitations on Palestinians cultivating their lands against this background. He maintained that the suffering of the Palestinian people would be lessened if these blockades were lifted. Obama once again followed the path of compromise, which has historically been essential in resolving many crises throughout the globe. He urged all sides to meet halfway, while realizing the challenges the situation provided for any chances of meaningful negotiations. Obama contended that in order for the area to see enduring peace, all parties have to make a fair number of compromises. Obama urged the Mahmoud Abbas-led government in Palestine to acknowledge Israel's sovereignty and its right to live in safety and security. Returning to Israel, Obama advocated for an Israeli troop pullout from the area surrounding Palestine. His remarks demonstrate that the international community does not support Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory and its most recent attacks against the Hamas organization. Obama also made reference to the Arab government's prior position on the war. He called on the Arab countries to work together to mend fences and resume good relations with Israel, instead of using the opportunity to deflect criticism of it for its shortcomings. Obama acknowledged in his address that the Palestinian people's right to statehood and self-governance is a fundamental tenet of international affairs. He claimed that Palestinians had the right to be free people in their own land, just as Israelis established a state in their own country. In this statement, he reiterates his position on the injustice and unfairness of Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory. Obama's address clarified the challenges Palestinians face in a territory surrounded and governed by people they believe to be their oppressors. He suggested that restoring Palestine's sovereignty would be essential to bringing about long-lasting peace in the region and enabling its citizens to resume their normal lives. Obama filed a lawsuit demanding an end to hostilities in the area. Obama stated that while it is not assured, peace is achievable. Recognizing that talks with the Palestinians would be difficult due to their deep-seated animosity toward Israel, he felt optimistic that the situation had improved. Obama also realized that radicals who wanted to keep igniting conflict and disturbance would oppose this peace initiative. He brought up the two-state option once more as the means of bringing about peace and ending the bloody conflict on both sides. Obama urged Israel to put aside its historical grievances with the Palestine Authority and hold negotiations with the government in the hopes of bringing a stop to the hostilities. He then gave the Palestinian government headed by Prime Minister Fayyad and President Mahmoud Abbas, a vote of confidence. Obama praised them even more for their efforts to keep the West Bank secure. Obama cited his meeting with young Palestinians as the source of his optimism for the nation's future, citing a break from its violent past and radical tendencies. He asked Israelis, particularly parents, to imagine themselves in the position of their counterparts, saying that they would love and care for the children of Palestine as much as they did for their own children. In conclusion, Obama aimed to show empathy for the excruciating situation of the Palestinian people and to instill hope in them despite their suffering. In addition, he made a plea to the Israeli government to lessen Palestinian suffering and look into ways to bring stability and peace back to the affected areas. Obama urged the warring parties to come to an agreement, which might entail giving up some ground in order to bring about a durable peace. According to him, both parties can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement by sitting down to negotiate. Obama's significantly softer tone and appeal to Israel in his speech and stance on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict have stirred protests. Do you believe that Israel and Palestine can be convinced to find a way to end this conflict and bring about a long-lasting peace on both sides? What do you think about this? Please share your opinions in the comments section below, and let's start a conversation. Additionally, remember to subscribe to our channel if you're fascinated by the colorful cultures and rich history of many civilizations. We can continue investigating and presenting these intriguing stories thanks to your support. Until the next video, see you.